So next we have a speaker, Sumeya Ali, and Nikki will be introducing her.
Hello, my name is Nikki Amai and I'm here today as a representative of a grassroots youth organisation called Hazara Youth Perspectives. Today, the Hazara community once again stands in mourning after the latest acts of ethnic cleansing in Quetta, Pakistan, that took the form of twin bombings on a bus full of female university students and the hospital to which they were transported to only yesterday. With 14 confirmed dead, this count is set to rise in the coming hours and days. And on behalf of the Australian community, I offer our sincerest condolences to a community whose pain is too much to even imagine. So the message of today's gathering takes on even greater significance in light of yesterday's tragedy. Like many other Eastern cultures, charity forms an integral part of the Hazara culture. And it goes without saying that a gathering such as today must be supported through the provision of some kind of refreshment. And that is why the Hazara youth of Sydney have come out today to offer you all a warm cup of sweet Afghan-style tea, to thank you for not only giving of your time today, but for opening your hearts to this cause that forms the very essence of their existence in this country. One of the community members that has joined us today in serving tea is named Ali Kadir, and I would like to take this opportunity to share something of his story with you. Ali is an ethnic Hazara, a tribal group said to be descendant from Genghis Khan, the Mongolian warrior, but having resided in Afghanistan for many hundreds of years. Ali was born into a large family in Afghanistan, but at 9 years of age was forced to flee his homeland, making the dangerous crossing of the steep mountains overland to Pakistan after his father was killed by militants targeting ethnic Hazaras. For many years, Ali found safety in Quetta in northwestern Pakistan, where he grew up, married and had children of his own. However, life was not to be such an easy road, and in the post-9/11 world, global terrorism began to play out its vicious game in the streets of Quetta, with Hazaras bearing the brunt of the destruction and devastation that it brought, under an official Taliban policy of eradicating Hazaras from Quetta by the end of this year. So after a series of attacks on innocent people in 2011, Ali made the heart-wrenching decision to leave his family and what had become his home, and make the dangerous and fear-laden journey to Australia by boat. As he made his goodbyes to his wife and 4 children, he wondered whether God would ever again bless him with the sight of their beautiful faces. But go he must, not in search of fortune, as some may have you believe, but merely in search of a safe haven for himself and his loved ones. Like so many others, Ali's accounts of his journey to Australia through Indonesia and across the ocean is one of the most harrowing tales you will ever be likely to hear, and one that makes me wonder at the courage and tenacity of the human spirit in overcoming insurmountable odds. Arriving in Australian waters and being transported to a detention centre, Ali thought that his prayers had been answered and he had at last arrived in a place that would relieve his fears and give him the safety and security of life that is every human being's right. However, once again Ali's hopes were to be dashed. Falling prey to a complex system of politics and bureaucracy, unable to navigate this minefield with his limited English, Ali was directed to tell his account only in brief, and was unable to give the most important details of his story to the immigration officials. As time went by in detention and as he was repeatedly questioned, Ali was soon branded as a liar when his initial brief statement did not match up with the very real details that were emerging. Official documents reflect this branding, and he has been unable to find a lawyer to convincingly take up his case since. After many months in detention, Ali was released into the community on a restricted bridging visa. He has no right to work, receives only minimal assistance from the Red Cross, and must wait in hope that his visa will be renewed every few weeks. Ali has recently received news that his visa will no longer be renewed and that he is in an imminent threat of a return to detention and deportation to Afghanistan, the very country that he fled as a small boy, fearing for his life, and the country that he has not been able to return to since because of the continuing threats. He has been told that appeal is futile because his case is not a matter of public interest. He knows that if he should be sent back to Afghanistan, his life will be limited to a few days. His family in Quetta are left to wait as Ali is pushed further into despair, as stories such as yesterday's bombings continue to roll in from that front. And I wonder, where is the justice in this world? How much should Ali and other members of his community be expected to bear? And how many times can this community hear the stories of the death of their loved ones in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, and as last week showed us yet again, on the oceans? And saddest of all, Ali is not an anomaly. His story is echoed elsewhere throughout the community so as to create a torrent of tales of failed hope and injustice. And whilst the debate around refugees and asylum seeker is used as political fodder in a propagandist election campaign, and whilst the media fuels the fear and ill information of the social conversation around this issue, we as Australians stand to lose sight of what is at stake in this debate. We stand to lose sight of the fact that at the centre of all this are the lives and loves of individual people whose hearts beat, whose smiles fade, and whose tears roll as we, as a nation, continue to put our own self-interest and bigotry above the compassion that makes each of us human. So as we raise our voices today against the policies of our government that perpetuate the persecution of people through no fault of their own, let us also remember the Alis of our fight. Because if we lose this challenge, not only does Ali and others in his community lose a chance for a safe and secure future, but we also lose any claim to humanity. And let us remember that all those who have gathered here today stand together as brother and sister, not as actors in any political campaign, but in defence of our own humanity. It is now with great pride that I introduce to you Sumeya, a young member of the Hazara community in Sydney, whose speech today will, I'm sure, fill you all with a renewed conviction that the challenge that we are all engaged in is one that is worth fighting, and worth fighting 1,000 times over. Sumeya.